Like Keldon Johnson stole the ball from Kevin Durant, I'm here to steal your heart. As we look ahead to the 4 games on Thursday in the NBA, streaming options, injury updates, and of course, the one, the only, the legend, Mick Bolton.
Thanks, Josh. It's Michael Bolton here, and it's time for another episode of the Locked On Fantasy Basketball Podcast. Let's get to it.
Let's get to it, indeed.
You are Locked On Fantasy Basketball, your daily fantasy basketball podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network.
Hello and welcome to the Locked On Fantasy Basketball Podcast, brought to you by Basketball Monster. My name is Josh Lloyd and I am the lead fantasy analyst at basketballmonster.com, and you can find me on Twitter as always at redrock_bball, on TikTok at redrock_bball, and on Instagram at Locked On Fantasy Basketball. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Make every moment more. Right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 moneyline bet. That's $150 if your team wins. So go to FanDuel.com/LockedOn to get started. Thank you also for making Locked On Fantasy Basketball your first listen every day. We are free. We are available on all platforms. So we're looking at Thursday. There are 4 games on, injury updates, rest of the week chunks, streaming options. Quick update on Industry Pickup League. I'm against Noah Rubin from Roto World this week, and we are currently, after 2 days, tied with a 4-4-1 record. In fact, most of the matchups are pretty tight. Mike Barner is beating Alex Barutha 5-4. That's a battle of RotoWire. Mitch Casey and Dan Titus are 4-4-1. B-Dub is losing to Reclean 5-4. Kingy's got the big lead at the moment over Mike Catron, 7-2 to Kingy over Mike. And Drew Dinkmeyer is beating Rhett Bauer 6-3. So that's where we're sitting 2 days into week 2 on Industry Pickup. Really liking, and I've got a bunch of guys that are going in Wednesday's game, of course, because there's 13 games on. So we're here to look ahead to the action for Thursday with 4 games on. And for the rest of this week, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, we can stream every day. So being very cautious with how you use your ads and getting the most out of them is going to be vitally important. So let's look ahead. As I put the wrong date on that screen, we're not looking ahead to Wednesday because we're looking ahead to Thursday, November the 2nd. Apologies for that screen being wrong. Let's take a look at where the injuries currently sit at the moment across the NBA. For the Pelicans, now this is going to change because a lot of these teams are on back-to-backs, but we're expecting that Jose Alvarado and Najee Marshall are both out for the Pelicans. I am not expecting Bradley Beal or Devin Booker to play for the Suns. We got a sort of update, but one of those updates that doesn't mean anything. No timetable to return. They're progressing, blah, blah, blah. I don't think they play Thursday. There's a Saturday, Sunday back-to-back. I would be looking at a Sunday target return for Beal and Booker through pure guesswork, deduction of words, but I don't know. So that's where we sit with those guys. Precious Achiuwa is ruled out for Wednesday's game, so I'm going to list him questionable for the game on Thursday. Now, with the trade has gone through. So, that's the James Harden trade, of course. So PJ Tucker might actually play on Wednesday. Harden won't. But there is a chance, well, not a chance, it's pretty likely that most of these guys, I've listed them questionable, but the trade is official now. So Covington, Marcus Morris, and KJ Martin might be available to, or should be available to play. Now, we know that Nick Batum won't play. He's listed doubtful for personal reasons. His wife actually posted some stuff on Instagram about the stresses of them moving across to Philly from LA, which I know that they'd taken some real discounted deals to stay in LA because that was what the lifestyle they wanted at the end of his career. So, we'll see what happens with that. Maybe he is not going to stay in Philadelphia. I guess that's a possibility too, that he gets moved on, much like Philip Petrusev has already been moved on from the Clippers to the Kings. They've got quite a few centers there, and he's going to be behind McGee and Len, but hopefully he gets some good run with their G League team. But yeah, the Covington and Martin should be available to make their Sixers debut on Thursday now that we've got that information. So be very interesting to see. Now, Covington won't start. Martin won't start. It will be Oubre for the first game, and we'll see how that evolves over time. I don't think that Oubre sticks in that starting line, but it's something we mentioned that they might start Tobias Harris at the 4 with Oubre at the 3 because that's how they'd closed so many of those games previously. Some other injury updates. We've got Jalen Duren and Brandon Ingram. Now, I'm currently listing them questionable for Thursday. It is a back-to-back for both of these blokes. Ingram missed the last game. We've got them both playing on Wednesday We don't know if they're going to play it on Wednesday at the time of me recording this, which is at 5 p.m. Eastern on... What day is it? On Wednesday. 5 p.m. Eastern on Wednesday I'm recording this. So I don't know whether Duran and Ingram are going to be available on Wednesday, but I'm just going to mark them as questionable for Thursday's game. If they don't appear to be serious injuries, but we've got to at least have, I guess, some level of doubt that they're going to be available and ready to go for the action on Thursday. So what about the stream of the day? Stream of the day started out with 3 guys. Now we've expanded it out to 5 different things, which I think is fair enough. We're just covering a lot of different bases here. So we've got certain cutoffs for each of these. A 10-team category streamer would be Herbalife Jones. We're looking at blokes rostered under 65%, and Jones is under 60. I don't think that he's a must-roster guy, Herb Jones, but I do think that obviously with only 4 games on, Jones' ability to rack up steals, he's going to get a lot of minutes. That's going to be super valuable for 10s. I wouldn't think that he's a must-hold there. And in 12s, he's really borderline depending on your team. He's a steals guy and probably leaning more towards being only a steals specialist, but a very strong stream for Thursday's action. For 12-teamers, whether it's categories or points, there's a lot of Suns guys that you can go for. I will feel more confident going with Eric Gordon. His minutes are the most secure. His usage is the most secure. Now, he's going to fluctuate quite a bit in terms of the scoring numbers and the percentage numbers, more importantly, which influences scoring. But just the fact that his minutes stay secure, Grayson Allen's go up and down, Jordan Goodwin's go up and down. Now, if they were all to play the same minutes, we would very easily go with Jordan Goodwin, a guy that gets assists, rebounds, steals, scores, hits some threes, right? But he might play 16 minutes, he might play 30, whereas Gordon's going to play 31, 32, basically without any fail. So there's a level of safety in the shots that Gordon gets and the role that he has. It makes him a safer streamer, and all of these guys are available in over 55% of leagues. But I'm going with Gordon as my 12-team category and 12-team points stream of the day. For 14-team leagues, I'm going to go with Grayson Allen. 14 teams, we use the cutoff of 20% rostered. He's under that, and he's a really strong option as a starter. He was very good last game. Don't necessarily want to expect that level of production from him, but he is a very good streamer. And then we go to the other guy, Jordan Goodwin, who's available in over 90% of leagues. So in 16 teamers, he becomes an excellent streamer for Thursday. And remember, they play Saturday, Sunday back-to-back. So remember the Suns' names: Eric Gordon, Grayson Allen, Jordan Goodwin, Drew Eubanks, Yuta Watanabe. All of these guys have 3 quality games in the final 4 days of the week. Nobody else does, and they're excellent streamers for Thursday. So if you're looking to maximize games played per waiver ad, these are the guys that I think you need to be paying probably a little bit more attention to. Today's episode is brought to you by PrizePi. PrizePi is the largest daily fantasy sports platform in North America. It's the easiest and most exciting way as well to play DFS, because it's just you against numbers. You're not head-to-heading against another person who might have spent 17 hours doing this with elaborate spreadsheet formulas and algorithms and all the time in the world. It's you against player projections. They put up a number, you look at it and go, more or less. That's it. That's all you need to do. Up to 6 of those you can chuck in, and you can win up to $25. It's up to $25. Up to 25 times your money back on that entry. All you do is just select up to those 6 players, and there you go, more or less on the stats. PrizePi even offers a reboot policy, so the entries stay in play even if one of your players gets injured, for football and basketball. So basketball counts here. If you have a player who exits the game in the first half and does not return in the second, the player gets rebooted. PrizePi is the only daily fantasy sports platform with an injury insurance policy. You can also play against some of PrizePi's favorite players like Meek Mill and Andrew Schultz. You can find community plays under the promo tab on the app to view entries from some of the biggest names in the PrizePi community every week. Go to prizepicks.com/lockedonnba. Use the code LockedOnNBA for a first deposit matchup to $100. That's prizepicks.com/lockedonnba. The code is LockedOnNBA, and get your first deposit match up to $100. PrizePicks is daily fantasy sports made easy. So that will bring us now to talking about some more streaming options. Been just always looking to change and streamline and do better with this in terms of the streaming options that we're giving. So what I tried to do is that any guy that would qualify, because I do too. I do like the shallow league stream and the deep league stream here. So 10 different stream options, 5 for each. So if a guy qualifies for the deeper league one, I'm going to take him out of the shallower one, understanding that there is some value in some of these players in the deeper, even for the shallow. And I'll highlight those guys here. But these are all guys who are rostered between 50 and 20% of leagues. So our point guard, we look Cole Anthony, but I'll be also clear with you, there is a lot of guard-eligible players who have streaming value, and there are not many forward or center-eligible players. nearly every top streaming option is a guard. So I'm going to put Cole Anthony as a point guard option. I'll throw Grayson Allen as a shooting guard. There's Eric Gordon as a small forward, but there's Jalen Suggs in that mix. There's Jordan Goodwin in that mix. There's so many, even like, maybe it's Keontae George, maybe Colin Sexton's available. It's all guards. For the power forward, we're looking at Kelly Olynyk, and center, Drew Eubanks. Eubanks is a guy that gets you nice blocks, solid rebounds. If Nurkic gets in foul trouble, he's going to bump up. He's got a very secure floor, a solid enough ceiling if things go right, plus 3 games in 4 nights coming up for the Phoenix Suns. But there are a lot of guard options that you can grab. But front court stuff, it's just not quite as easy to get to. If you look at deeper leagues, all available in over 80% of leagues. Jordan Goodwin there as a point guard. Killian Hayes as a shooting guard. So Jalen Suggs is another one there who I could have slotted into any of these different spots, who's probably even a better option than ever Cole Anthony. It is a toss-up, but there's just so many different guys you chuck in there. For the deeper leagues, I do think Yuta Watanabe is at least worth a look as a small forward eligible player. There's not many small forward eligible players there. Maybe you throw Grayson on, but I had already used him in the earlier one. Larry Nance is a power forward. That's what I mean. Like, Nance is okay, but not doing much at the moment. And then at center, it's Mo Wagner, who actually is doing pretty well. And if you wanted to use a Wagner over a Drew Eubanks, I don't mind that, because he is a player that even in limited minutes can put up 12-team worthy numbers, even for, on a day like this when there's only 4 games on. So there are some interesting options as streaming, but it is more heavily tilted, I think, towards guard replacement type players versus big men. In terms of looking at 2-for-1s, well, nobody plays a Thursday, Friday back-to-back. So while we might get excited that we're in a situation where Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday are all low-volume days and there's streaming ability for all of them, no one plays Thursday, Friday. So you can't get that 2-for-1 value on that. It is more about looking at how many waiver ads you've got left. We're just going to talk chunks for the rest of the week here in a second about where we can put our value in and try to maximize what we do. But unfortunately, you can't do it Thursday or Friday. So you can either do Thursday, Saturday, or you can get someone in on Thursday, like a Suns player who then plays the weekend back-to-back, or get a Thursday guy, drop them for a Friday guy, and then just sort of stream in the final couple of days, depending on how your roster looks and how many games you're able to get in with the amount of waiver wire moves that you got left over. But at the moment, not at the moment, it's not going to change. There is no Thursday, Friday back-to-back for us to benefit from adding those players. So for the rest of the week, I've talked about this already. It's the Suns, right? They have the Thursday, Saturday, Sunday. So Goodwin, Gordon, Okogie, Allen. 4 Eubanks. 5. You got 5 excellent stream options with the expectation that Beal and Booker are out for at least 2 of the remaining 3 games. So it's very rare to have 5 guys available widely across leagues who you could actually stream in, get 3 games in 4 nights, and you've got to choose between them. Goodwin, Allen, Gordon, Eubanks, Okogie. Like, that's 3 starters, a 6th man type in Eubanks, and Goodwin, depending on how they use him. Because the other guy there's Durant. Right? There is tons of value in those Suns guys. And honestly, I can give you these other names, but that's where you focus. More games and tons of value. Kobe White's got 2 more games this week. I know you hate Kobe White. He's going to have a good game soon. I don't know when it is. But if he continues to be terrible and other options arise, move on, right? But 2 games, quality, the rest of the week. Cole Anthony, Jalen Suggs, 2 games the rest of the week as well on quality game days. And Suggs has been outperforming Anthony the last couple. Anthony outperformed Suggs the first 2. It's a bit of a back and forward between them. I think there is a way they can both coexist, but at the moment that's not happening. Kelly Olynyk with 2 games is also worth a look, as is the rabbit hunter, Alex Caruso, who, will they make a change and start him over Patrick Williams? I don't know. Or they continue to play Williams like 21 minutes and Caruso pushes to 26. Like, if Alex Caruso plays 30 minutes a night, he is a very, very clear 12-team league guy in that scenario. The problem is it just doesn't really happen enough to get him to those minutes. But we are very interested, and the 2 quality games over the final 4 days for Alex Caruso is a pretty useful thing. Today's episode is also brought to you by FanDuel Sportsbook. Score early this NFL season with FanDuel. Don't worry about the NFL season, mate. Score early with the NBA season with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 moneyline bet. That's $150 if your team wins. The easy way to do it would be, look, hey, who's playing the Wizards unless it's the Raptors? Who's playing the Blazers unless it's the Raptors? And maybe bet against them. And then you might be able to get yourself that winning money line bet and get the $150 in bonus bets. And then you've got spreads and totals, over-unders, player props, futures. It's all available to use those bonus bets on. So if you've been thinking about joining FanDuel, there's never been a better time to get in on the action. So visit FanDuel.com/lockedon and tip off the NBA season. FanDuel, official partner of the NFL. Yeah, NFL as well. Don't forget to gamble responsibly. So let's find out what is on my radar for these 4 games. And we've got a lot of back-to-backs, which is always annoying. Back-to-backs, I don't know what's more annoying to me, back-to-backs or loaded slates. The two things that I absolutely detest about the NBA schedule, 13 game days and back-to-backs. So Toronto, Philadelphia, it is a back-to-back for the Raptors. For the Sixers, I do want to watch Kelly Oubre, who is apparently going to start in this game. Like I said on the waiver wire show earlier today, where Kelly Oubre is the most added player on Yahoo because of the James Harden trade, and I said this and I will say it again in case you missed that show. Things actually got worse for Kelly Oubre, right? From what we've seen to begin the season, things got worse because Harden had not played. Oubre was doing his thing. Him starting doesn't necessarily make it better. And they added in Covington, Martin, Batum, Morris. Now, not all those guys are going to play, but Tucker was out and they added more players. So it's not like it's just this, wow, everything opens up for him now. We've seen it opened up. It's already been opened up because Harden hadn't played. Now, when you think about when we look forward to Oubre's projections, we were thinking maybe if Harden comes back, it hurts him. Understandable. But we've got the blueprint of Oubre. So I want to see what happens. How does it change if he starts? How do they run him and Covington and Martin, and how does it all work together? Streams, grade A Dick. Last game, Dick played more than Trent. I don't know whether that'll be the case on Wednesday, but I want to watch it. If we see a consistent pattern of Dick over Trent, then we look at him as a streaming option, and he's clearly more of their future, although Trent's unbelievably young. I just don't really think he's massively in their plans. Remember when Gary Trent picked up his player option in the offseason and then Chris Haynes said they're working on a long-term extension and we've heard nothing else since? No extension coming, apparently. So I'm very interested to see what Dick is doing. Covington as a streamer would be intriguing. I just want to find out who Nurse likes. Is it Martin? Is it Covington? Covington is probably double the per-game player or per-minute player than what Martin is. So even if they have a 24-minute split in those minutes, yeah, Covington's the guy that I want. But if Covington plays 18 minutes, he's not going to be worth it. It is one of the big unanswered questions in fantasy at the moment to see how Nurse responds to the incoming influx of Clippers power forwards. The second game that we look at is the Pelicans and the Pistons. And unfortunately, both of these teams are on a back-to-back. You're going to get some pretty high-quality basketball in this one. And the other unfortunate thing is that both Brandon Ingram from the Pelicans and Jalen Duren, the passport legend from the Pistons, are questionable for Wednesday. So not only do we not know whether they're going to play Wednesday, we don't know if they're going to play Thursday. And by the time you listen to this, you might know about Duren and Ingram. So, hey, insert your analysis here. But if they miss Wednesday, there's a giant chance they miss Thursday. Even if they play Wednesday, there is a chance they miss Thursday because it is a back-to-back and maybe there's an aggravation. So don't look at them playing on Wednesday as a clear indicator that they are going to play Thursday. But if they are out on Wednesday, then we get extra data points to see how things get distributed. Phew, that was a long sentence without a breath. So who are the streams? It's probably Marvin Bagley in Detroit, although Alec Burks is always a pretty good option. Killian Hayes is in that mix too. But I wouldn't be shocked also if they did start Blunty himself, Jim Wiseman, and keep Bagley in his backup role. Now, if Wiseman starts, he won't play the 32 minutes that Duren plays. He'd probably play 24 and Bagley would play 28 off the bench. And I still probably would prefer Bagley over Wiseman as a stream because I just think he's a better player. But if Wiseman did start, it would improve his streamability. On a 4-game slate, he'd be coming into the mix. For the Pelicans, last game without Ingram, they started Jordan Hawkins. He would be the stream option. Matt Ryan would be the other guy you could go to because we're not expecting Alvarado or Najee Marshall to be available to play, or Trey Murphy, obviously, so Hawkins would be the guy there, but that is a little bit dependent on the status of Brandon Ingram. The next game we look at, the second last game, it is the Magic and the Jazz. The Jazz are on a back-to-back. For the Magic, we do want to watch Wendell Carter Jr. He is the ire of fantasy basketball managers at the moment. There are a number of indicators to me that suggest he will get better. Low usage, which will turn around, and terrible shooting last game, which won't stick, right? I know this. I don't fear he's in any risk of losing his position to Mo Wagner. I just think there are a few things that are going to change, and I'm very confident about that. But let's see what happens in this game, yeah? For the Jazz, well, we just want to find out what goes on. But also, really important to watch for the Jazz is the Walker Kessler role. He's only played big minutes once, and that was against Nikola Jokic. Does playing against Wendell Carter and Mo Wagner necessitate big minutes, or do they run with Collins and Olynyk? That's a question. For the streams, well, Jalen Suggs is in that mix. Cole Anthony's in that mix. Just wanted to highlight a few different options. Mo Wagner for deeper leagues. And then for the Jazz, it is probably Olynyk, although Horton Tucker, Keontae George, Colin Sexton, they're all a little bit up and down. I think Olynyk's a little bit more secure, although if Horton Tucker's available, given they are starting him still, he would be the guy that I'd prioritize. But in most leagues, he is probably on a roster. Your final game of the day is the Spurs and the Suns, a rematch. I do want to see Trey Jones. I know that every discussion about the Spurs at the moment is get them a real point guard, play more Trey Jones. It's better for the team. And as I highlighted on the waiver wire show, I'm not sure that that matters to them. I think that they are just trying to see what happens with Sohan, and I don't think that 4 games is enough for them to develop him as a point guard. I could be wrong, but we need to watch that. We need to watch the minutes of Jones, because Jones did close that game out against the Suns with Sohan, but he played I think 14 minutes in the first 3 quarters. He'd barely played. And if you're getting 21, 22 minutes a night, that's not going to be worthwhile as a 12-team guy. You can hold him. His assists are nice. But I am not as convinced that others that the Spurs are just going to flip it over and get rid of Sohan as a starter. I don't know they're going to do that. Again, it makes sense if you are hyper-focused on the absolute micro valuation of winning every single minute of every single game that these guys are on the court. But I'm not sure that's what they're about. And that's what we want to find out. For the Suns, how do they use Jordan Goodwin? 30 minutes one game, 15 the other, with no change in other personnel. So what's real here? How much Goodwin do we get? 30 minutes is great. It's a stream in all leagues. 15 is like a deeper league stream. How do they utilize that? In terms of the Spurs streaming, outside of their top 6 guys, there's nobody. Like the next guy is their 7th man, and that is Chetty Osman, but he's not that good. So when we look at the Suns with multiple streaming options, Allen, Gordon, Okogie, Eubanks, Goodwin, the only guy that's routinely available for the Spurs is Osman. And it doesn't really matter for most people. Someone like Malachi Branham, not even playing or doing anything at the moment. And I'm not as big of a Branham fan as a prospect as some other people are, as you may have heard. And that will do it for me today. Don't forget to follow this podcast, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, and on the Odyssey app. And on YouTube, you thumb it up and you leave those comments down below. Guys, we are done here. Thank you so much for listening, everyone. See ya.